Good afternoon. Welcome to another Monday afternoon of We the People. We're joined again by my regular co-host, Hyacinth Yenny, and my town committee co-host, Vicki Fennell. We'll be talking about that more, but tomorrow is the town committee primary.
Yeah.
The polls are open, only for the 7th district though, which is like the Blue Hills and portions of the north end and downtown.
Yeah, but let me do my announcement first before you get into that, because you know
I was just giving you a
it
little
leads
prelude.
into more and more, right?
Oh, there's gonna be more and more today. Go ahead.
Well, hello everyone out there in TV land. I hope you're all doing well today. It's Monday and it's a beautiful day, and the snow skipped us, so that's good.
It's too bad. I was.
We didn't need any more in the ground because let's face it, the ones there are really hard already. Can't even get rid of it. So anyway, I got a couple of announcements. Tomorrow's Tuesday, and we do have Zumba, 5:30 to 6:30 at Poe Park Center.
But not unless they go vote first.
Oh, yeah.
You won't be allowed into Zumba unless you have that I voted place.
Oh, it's in that area they have to vote, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, well, you know, maybe it's a good idea you come because we do have a lot of people come to Zumba.
I will be busy at the polls tomorrow.
Oh, okay, all
Every
right.
vote counts, and I will be out
I
there
know.
begging for every vote we can get.
I know, every vote. Okay, so on Tuesday too, they have swimming at Poe Park on Tuesday, which is at 10 a.m. to 11:30. They have swimming, and it's all free. All these things are free. So there's a lot of activities at Poe Park. I noticed that. So anyway, so try to go and see that. And I do have stuff for the senior center. Okay, South End Wellness Senior Center. So today's March and it's the 4th. We do have computer class today at 1.
So today's the 3rd.
Today's the 3rd?
Tomorrow is March 4th, the primary for town committee
you're
in
right.
the 7th district of Hartford.
Okay, now, so we have the advisory.
Vote row C.
Okay, but anyway, tomorrow we do have computer class from 1 to 2:30 at Senior Center. You have to
Cancel
sign
that.
up.
They should be at the polls voting.
Well, but they're not in this, that's in the South End. These people are in the South End that comes. Or whoever, they can still go and vote and come to computer class. And that's in the middle of the day anyway, from 1 to 2:30. Also, we have some trips coming up that people might be interested in. We have, and don't forget, Charter Oak Van always come to the Senior Center. And that's next Monday. Please try to come to that if you can. It's, you know, if you don't have insurance, this is a perfect place to come. 9:45 to 1. The Charter Oak Van is parked in the back of the Senior Center, so please try to access that. Also we have a couple of trips coming up, which is a trip to Boston, Quincy Market, and it's only $15 per person. It's gonna be Thursday, May 22nd. I just want to give you the heads up. So if you'd ever like to go, this is a good opportunity. Departure
Isn't that one of
time-
your NRZ meeting dates?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
this is like the second or so Thursday.
Okay.
Departure is from 8 a.m. And then we arrive back to Hartford at 6 p.m. It's really a good thing if you just want to get up to Boston, hang out, see different things. The food is pretty good. You go to the market and buy whatever you want to go. I think it's a good price, $15, don't you think?
Yeah, that would get me about to Springfield with gas, so that's
All right, well, it's the bus, okay, the bus.
all the way to Boston. That's not bad.
Yeah. Oh, and then in June, and it's far away, but I want to remind people, June 11th from 12 to 2 p.m. we are having lunch buffet cruise and Lady Catherine, and that's $37 per person.
How does that work? You can take
The
them to
food
Boston for 15, but you charge them 37 to go down to the river?
Yeah, because this here, the food, you have a buffet.
That's a very nice
It's
trip.
very nice, music, you know, drinks.
Now, is that going out of Middletown or Hartford?
It's going out of Hartford, down at the docks, and then, you know,
You're
down the
vibrating.
river. I'm vibrating, yeah. So, yeah, so I encourage anyone that would like to go, please call the Senior Center, which is 860-757-0840. Again, 860-757 0840. And I think next week is our Maple Avenue NRC group meeting, which is going to be pretty interesting. We're supposed to have the mayor, but he called and canceled that to talk about his legislative agenda. So I wait for another time when he can make it. But anyway, the most important thing, we're going to have
excuses.
We're going to have MDC, and we're going to have Public Works. And as you know, there's a lot of issue with MDC. And I think maybe in another couple of months I will try to bring on CLMP to talk more about why is it that their rate is so skyrocketed and all that kind of thing. I know we had a real cold winter, so, but you know, I think...
Well, that's, you really have to be careful if you go over to these alternative suppliers.
Right, they're the
You need
one
to make sure you have a fixed rate with them.
for a year.
Or check it once a year, because I think the fixed rates are only for a year.
Right.
So if you don't lock into it again,
Then,
the next year they'll jump way up on you.
Right.
And that's affected a lot of senior citizens this year.
Right.
People that don't have computers and can't go on and do everything.
but the thing is, they sent you out in your bill a list of all the agency that you can go to, the cheapest one and stuff like that, and it will tell you whether it's a year contract or 6 months or whatever.
Yeah, they'll
think-
tell you who has the lowest rates and everything.
Right.
So,
But definitely, I would definitely just love for the resident to come out on this issue around MDC and their water rate bill and, you know, all the other stuff.
well,
that
your
they're doing.
senator in the South End used to be chairman of the Energy Committee.
Yeah.
Which I think
We'll
he's
try
gone
to
up
invite him to.
something
I mean,
else now, but
Yeah.
he should have the knowledge of all this. So maybe it'd be
Well,
good to have
we
him
know,
there.
I know what the problem is. The problem is that we did vote off on this, project. And now everything is just combined that we are actually paying for the budget for the contract, that we sign off on.
Do you mind? We've got an election to win here. Can we move on?
Well, yeah, I mean, give me a break here. So, anyway.
One other thing I want to mention.
Yes.
I know you've gotten the phone calls. I get the phone calls almost on a weekly basis.
Uh-huh.
How terrible that public access station is.
Oh,
We can't
yeah.
hear you.
Oh, yeah.
The video is awful. Why do we watch the executive director hour after hour after hour repeating shows from 2 or 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Good news for everybody that called us complaining about that.
Hooray!
The problem has been cured. Billy Screws has been fired.
Well, let's
She
hope
was
we can
she
get-
was walked out of here Friday. She no longer is the executive director here at Hartford Public Access. And as one of the board members I spoke to on Friday, and I think there's a couple of newer members on the board who should remain. The others I think need to step aside because they've run this place into the ground by their lack of attention to what goes on here.
Right, what the real
But
public access
one of the
should be.
board members, who is a woman that I really admire.
Don't make a name, don't make a name yet.
No, well, I really admire her and I respect her.
Right.
And she's strong in the community. I won't repeat a lot of the conversations, but Shirley Surgeon is a board member here. I think you'd have a hard time finding too many people, aside from us, that love this city and care about the city more than Shirley does. Okay. You can't hear that at home
Trish,
because the
don't forget
microphones don't
Trish.
pick it up. Sister Trish is yelling at us from the booth, don't forget about me.
And I think there are a few others too.
But anyways, Shirley is on the board. As she said to me on Friday, this is the opportunity for a new beginning for Hartford
Right.
Public Access. And I hope that that mindset carries through to the rest of the board members. It'd be nice if we got a new beginning with a new set of board members, Shirley being one of them to stay. But the others that have been here for years and years and have done nothing to change we said, we know it's not true. I'm not gonna run around saying, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist. People have to look at my actions
Kevin.
and realize that,
Kevin, you don't have to justify
no, I'm
yourself.
just
That's
saying,
right, Kevin.
I'm
but
just
I do
telling you.
now when they're out there using it against us in a campaign.
Well, but see,
Say-
they're using
my-
it, they're using
They're
it.
using it so they'll bring you down. Okay?
Exactly.
So I'm gonna try to let people out there know. I'm West Indies, okay? And I sit beside Kevin. I've known Kevin bitter years. And I can tell you a racist than from not a racist. The same people who out there are saying that he's racist, they are the racists. And I can say from this table and from my mouth, okay? I don't have one Indian or bone in me hates anyone or would call anyone racist. If Kevin was a racist, I could see it right through him.
That's right.
Okay? Because I can see the racists when I see them out there. So for someone to say Kevin is a racist, trust me, just flip the mirror and look at yourself, because whoever say that they're racist, I don't gain anything from telling you this, okay? I've
But
known
Hyacinth,
Kevin for
you
too long.
have to look at actions. Actions speak louder than words.
Why would we
And just-
have you, why would we, I think what's even more insulting about this is that why would members of our team, who I happen to think are very intelligent, savvy people, allow
Somebody
someone
was
who
like-
is a racist, someone who, and I said this to you over the phone, Kevin, somebody with a sheet and a pillowcase, wearing a sheet and a pillowcase on our slate. That is just asinine. And when you consider the source of where this is coming from, if they put as much effort into
doing
this
something good
for this
for
Or
the
city,
even showing some vision, what they want to do if they get
they
elected.
had an opportunity. There are some people who are on this slate who are in city positions. There are some who have previously served. I have yet to see the accomplishments, especially in North Hartford. And I told Ms. Winch, I said, you know, if you want to have a discussion about economic development for North Hartford, I'm happy to have that discussion. If you want to empower people who are of West Indian extraction to be able to become citizens and register to vote, I'm happy to assist. That's also one of our functions as on the town committee. I'm happy to have that discussion, but to just go around and to say it and then to not even have a discussion, not even to entertain a discussion with us about this. This is ridiculous.
And they never even once called me with their concerns,
Of course
saying,
not.
Kevin, there's something on your blog we disagree with, could you take a look at it?
Yeah,
That's right.
They
Well,
started
actually,
all this-
here's what happened, Kevin. The outrage, the post was in June. The outrage came in August, leading up to West Indian Week. So the idea was to stir the pot, okay? Stir the pot to the point where we get all the West Indian people fired up and ready to go after Kevin.
No,
and
please.
and just for the record, I would like to say that if, in serving with Kevin, I also happen to have the blood of the Caribbean flowing through my veins. My grandmother came to this country in 1919 from Bimini, Bahamas, okay? And what she did is she did what a lot of immigrants did. She was processed at a location in Miami, Florida. She lived, she worked jobs as a domestic servant with dignity, as other people did in those days, bought property in Miami and stayed there until she died, okay? And she also registered to vote.
This is just,
you know,
they're just plain politics, okay?
We
They're
know that.
Dirty
Well,
politics,
but it's not working.
But the
And
point-
people-
And the other part, just before we move on to something else, I just want to say, as I started to say earlier, actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
The last year, there were two major racial issues that came out of Hartford and the Hartford Police Department. One was the sergeant who made the comment about gorillas in the mist.
That's right,
The other was the dispatcher who used the N-word over the radio.
that's right.
You know how those came to light? Through me and my
Right.
blog.
And I think
That's
that's
right.
what it is.
And-
Because you're very outspoken, okay?
If you were a
I'm
racist,
very
Kevin,
outspoken
that
person
would not
too.
have come out.
And if I see something wrong, I will say it. And it's all about justice. You want to see justice. You want to see the right thing
Well,
happen for this
Vicki,
small
I would like
community
to,
of Hartford.
after we get reelected again tomorrow, I think it's important we start confronting some of these issues. Let's have a forum for the community. What is racism, and how do we confront it? And how do we heal this racial divide and start coming together as a city.
And it comes in many
there's
forms
plenty of
also.
your people in your NRZ that have needed help with things. I've never once asked them, what color are you, or what race are you?
Because you know, it's funny because where when I was growing up, color was never an issue.
And it shouldn't
Okay?
be.
Right.
It
Because
shouldn't
we,
be.
we treat everyone with respect.
That's right.
The only thing that might have classed you is because you might have a better education than I do.
Right.
Okay?
So
But
it's a class
color,
issue.
so for them to come and use the color here, it's a
I
lowest
still
point.
have not heard
Okay?
any of their ideas other than this reminds me of President Obama and the Republicans.
Yeah.
We don't like anything he says, just get him out.
Yeah.
Get him out,
Yeah.
get him out, get him out.
So please,
yes.
people out
Well,
there.
it's the same, that's politics.
I know, we know that.
And it's the same thing with Governor Malloy right now, where the Republicans are on the radio every afternoon on John Rowland's show, who is,
Oh, he's gonna be
according to news accounts,
investigated.
he's about ready to be indicted on additional
Yes.
charges. But anyway,
Yeah, but I just want people out there to know that, please, let's get to the real issue of what needs to happen in Hartford. There's a lot of things need to be done. And when you have certain people trying to play the politics and play the race card and all those kind of things, please take careful time and look at them and realize that they're not what they are. Okay? We need real people who can move the agenda for this city. Okay? We need action people. We don't need people saying, I'm in a position, but do nothing.
That's right.
Okay?
well, and you got to look at a lot of the motives behind these things too.
Yeah.
Take for example Jean Holloway. She's lived
I'm
probably
very disappointed
most of
about-
her adult career working in City Hall. Now let's just hypothetically, and I'm not going to say this would happen or it's not going to happen. Let's just say our slate gets elected again and decides not to endorse all the members of the current city council. And if one of them happened to be Jean's boss, Ken Kennedy, she potentially could be out of a job. So it's in her best interest to keep us out so she keeps her job. Now, she was also the Democratic town chair for 2 years. And if most people you talk to in the Democratic Party will tell you it was the worst 2 years recently of
Yeah, we
the
never had any
Democratic town
meeting
committee.
that was a quorum.
They never had meetings, which is one of the things they're throwing at us. We don't meet. We've got the records and the information. We've met. We've had conference calls. We've done a lot more than probably Jean Holloway did, along with her vice chair, Lou Watkins, who's also running for the 7th district. Now, I don't believe in mudslinging. I do believe very strongly in facts, though. Lou Watkins, as Jean's vice chair under her term, was very lackluster also. The other thing, and I've got the newspaper articles here, is the basically no-show job he got with Diggs Construction. And that was one of the things that aggravated me when he interviewed with us. And yes, Jean Holloway and Lou Watkins both interviewed with us for open spots on our town committee, along with Donna Daniels. Now, Donna Daniels, and I won't go into all the questions or anything, Donna did not impress the committee. There was no support for her to take a vacant slot. There was for Jean Holloway. There was a lot of discussion about her tenure as town chair, and I kind of convinced the people on the slate that there's a big difference between being town chair and being a town committee member. There'd be 16 of us to get the job done, whereas town chair, there was only one of her. So she could either work with us or we would just go by her and do what we had to do. So we offered Jean a
an
spot
advisory
on our,
also, too.
no, we actually offered Jean a slot.
Yeah, that we did.
We had, I do as I sometimes do, I twisted arms enough and got people to agree with me, and we offered Jean Holloway a slot on our slate. A slot on our slate?
A slot on our slate, yes.
We offered Jean Holloway a slot on her slate. In the meantime, I had to deliver the news to Donna Daniels that there was just no support and we wouldn't be offering her the opportunity to run on our slate. She apparently was upset by that. Jean Holloway then told me that if we didn't take Donna on our slate, she wasn't going to run with us. And that to me was kind of offensive, to put a gun to my head and say, you've got to take the one I want. You went through a democratic process, you selected the people you wanted.
Well, let's face it.
And you're not taking my friend.
Let's face it, they are just playing politics. They don't know what it is what it is to be a politician, to be honest with
Right,
you.
right.
Okay? Because if you're gonna try to blackmail somebody about, okay, I have to be on, or otherwise, da, 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 that's blackmail, okay? That's not what politics is all about, okay?
Right.
You,
Well, let's
you
go
care
back to
about
the-
the people in your neighborhood. You want to see good things happen for your neighborhood, okay? So you want people around that wants to do the job to make your neighborhood a better place.
That's right.
You don't just want to put somebody there just to put someone there.
Right.
That's
We-
not what.
We need working politicians.
Exactly. That's
Well,
not what
let's-
town committee is supposed to
Here's
do.
an article from June 26, 2009, written by Jeffrey Cohen, who at the time was a reporter at the Hartford Courant, basically broke the whole Perez and the grand jury story. He's now left and is over at WNPR. But Jeff wrote an article for the Courant on Sunday, December 7, 2008, that said, and this is relating to a man,
Diggs?
Anwar Al-Ghani,
Oh, yeah.
Lou Watkins, and a third person. But he wrote an article how all three of them were working for the firm they hired. They were on the committee that chose the builder that later got contracts with Hartford
Well,
Schools
again,
Project.
dirty politics.
And that same year, former school building committee chairman Louis Watkins got an initial 1 year, $3,000 a month contract with Diggs to work as a liaison with the Hartford community. Watkins' work led to a city ethics investigation. The city and Watkins eventually signed an agreement saying he had briefly and unintentionally violated the city ethics code. Watkins remained working for Diggs. So it wasn't such an ethical issue that he stepped aside. He continued collecting his $3,000 a month. Now the interesting part is Gene Holloway's boss, who's now running with Watkins, Councilman Ken Kennedy, was quoted as saying, "It raises serious questions," said Councilman Kenneth Kennedy. "It just raises the appearance of impropriety, even if one doesn't exist. That's the question it raises.
This look on
And we always have to make sure that everything's on the up and up." Well, apparently it wasn't. It was also later investigated by the grand jury as a portion of the investigation into the Perez administration. And again, this isn't mudslinging on our part. These are facts. You need to know who you're looking
Right.
to elect to represent you in the community.
Right, and be careful. I mean, for the resident in 7th, please be, be aware of who comes to your door and said, "Vote for me." You find out what they have done to improve your neighborhood.
Well, they're not going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, you can see through the line. You can read
Well,
through the
let's-
line of what they
let's
have
Want
ask-
to
done.
talk about the postcard here?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm working toward that.
Okay, just check.
Then you've got another person who was a former town chair, Noel McGregor.
Oh.
During the whole period that allowed Eddie Perez to do a lot of his corrupt activities, because he stacked the town, Noel McGregor is town chair, stacked the
the town
committee with city hall employees, police officers, firefighters, others, executive directors of nonprofits who got money from the city, so that when the Mayor Perez came looking for a favor,
He knows he's got
he
his
knew that he's got the
days.
town committee in his favor.
Yeah.
Noel McGregor has an interesting history. You might want to ask him why he was forced to retire from the Hartford Police Department. I doubt he'll tell you the correct story that almost led to his arrest, but ask him, see what he says. If not, I'll be glad to get copies of you of the Internal Affairs report
Yeah.
from the Hartford Police Department and an issue with Connecticut Natural Gas at his restaurant, where there were allegations of theft because the gas meter in the basement of McGregor's Chicken and Biscuits on Albany Avenue had been removed and apparently replaced with a straight pipe for the gas to flow through without charging any footage on the meter. These are factual stories. These are things that have happened. And even as far as that property that the restaurant was located on was part of a redevelopment project. And this will show you how dirty politics are in Hartford. It was part of a redevelopment project at the corner of Albany and Woodland, of which the buildings have all been torn down, but nothing's been put up there.
Right.
It's still a big, dirty, vacant lot. And I FOI'd all the documents from the city on that. In that lot, one of them happened to be a property owned by Noel McGregor that was a restaurant. It used to be, I believe, an old body shop or gas station.
Gas station, it was a gas
There was
station.
all kinds of environmental contamination that was found and identified. The appraisals for the property came anywhere from nothing because it was so contaminated up to like $20,000 or $30,000. The former finance director for the city, and I have the email because I FOI'd it, the former finance director for the city said, we've got to make sure Noel leaves this Noel McGregor, leaves this project with some money in his pocket. So all of a sudden, the property that was worth nothing and needed to be decontaminated and cleaned up to be able to use it for anything, the price suddenly jumped to $120,000 after they went out to a couple different companies to get a company that would boost the appraisal up for an environmental hotspot. So Noel McGregor, like Lou Watkins, who lined his pockets with the no-show job, Noel McGregor took care of himself through political contacts, namely Eddie Perez, and was paid off for that property probably 4 or 5 times what it was worth. It's all documented, it's all in emails and correspondence from the city. It's also, I believe, part of the grand jury transcripts if we were able to get our hands on those, because that was part of their focus also, looking at that property. But I can comfortably sit here and say that no one on our slate
Is on the take.
or has been investigated for any sort of corruption. I know I don't make any
And
money
you know
off what I do.
Maybe it's a good thing
Vicky doesn't.
that Jean doesn't be on there, because then you'll have one person that works. And we decide in the 6 that we don't want anyone that
See,
works
I'm
for
not-
the city of Hartford.
I don't want to sit here
And-
and
and
ruin
council.
people's reputations,
Yeah.
but when you're sending out nonsense, calling me a racist, sending out things that, and this is what Vicky was referring to, a postcard they sent out last week.
Oh, let's see.
This is, it's interesting, they sent it to Vicky's house. So somebody wasn't looking at their mailing list and realized she was on.
That's okay, they do that all the time.
Hi, neighbors and friends. On March 4th, 2014, there will be a very important Democratic Town Committee election in the 7th Assembly District. Over the past several years, the 7th Assembly District Town Committee have been missing in action. Well, we've only been in there 2 years, so it's not
Yeah,
several years.
No.
But we are far from missing in action. We talked about a lot of our accomplishments last week, whether it was training we conducted for the entire town committee. It was intended for the 7th, but we opened it up to the entire town
But
committee
if
to
they have
prepare.
been missing for several years, that means they haven't been doing anything.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the interesting
You know?
thing, is that they say
They don't
that-
fact check, that's
they-
for sure.
They say that we haven't done anything, but these, I go to workshops, Trish has been with me, Barbara has been with me, there are members of our slate that have been to workshops that are relating to city issues. I have never seen any of the people that are on this slate at any of those seminars or workshops. I haven't seen anybody. As far as their voting records, based on the data that I saw this week when we conducted our mailings, I would say maybe 3 to 4 are
Never voted.
well, 3 to 4 of them are voting, but the rest of them,
Our prime, what they call prime
right,
voters.
they're prime voters.
The registrar of
I
voters
can't
keep
even-
records of
right.
everybody that votes. If you consistently vote in every primary, every
You're
election,
prime.
anytime the polls are open,
Right.
if you consistently vote, you're a prime voter.
That's right.
Um,
So you
That's,
want-
I would say most people on our slate are probably prime voters.
right, and
But-
yeah, and they
But
want
to
be a
say
part
we're
of it.
missing in action, we did the training. There's dozens of people in North Hartford that are still in their homes today and weren't foreclosed on because we led the charge, along with Steve Harris and others in the 5th District, to work with the tax collector, work with the council, get them to put through a resolution that these tax liens would not be sold, provided they put a payment arrangement in place and stuck with the payment arrangement. Many of these people were having their homes sold out from right under them and didn't even know about it because the paperwork wasn't processed properly. They didn't receive the certified letters correctly. So you want to talk about dealing with your community, I think there's nothing more important than keeping people in their homes. And because of the 7th and the 5th District, that was accomplished. Now, I don't know what Noel McGregor or Lou Watkins or Gene Holloway or anyone else did to stay off foreclosure for their neighbors, but they weren't involved with us and they didn't offer us any help when we were fighting the battle. And
Still yet to hear what the program is. Other than to get rid of you, Kevin, and to get us out. I mean, I want to hear.
We're not going away.
We're not going away.
But
sorry.
the other part is, and I hate to keep bringing this up because it was tragic, and I don't want to use it as political capital. But what we did to get a 4-year-old girl killed in a fire buried was the 7th District, through our state rep Doug, through my work, through others. We accomplished that. I didn't see Noel McGregor or Lou Watkins or Donna Daniels or Gene Holloway or Phyllis Airy, anyone else stepping forward to help do that.
What would have been nice is if they had just put politics aside and had just given a donation and say, time out.
I was going to say, I don't even think there was any donations.
So again, ladies and gentlemen out there who vote, I'm just letting you know, when people come to your door and said, oh, I'm going to do better because the other slate, unless you know who they really are and can prove that they have really invested and feel good, that they have done something for you in that neighborhood, then be aware of who you're actually going to vote for.
Well, let's go on with the postcard. We, the 7th District Democrats for Change, nice name.
For change, like us.
The change must be to go in reverse, I would think, because they've already had their opportunity.
It's bad.
They were there.
They've served in these
and
roles,
nothing happened.
and the city has continued to go down the tubes.
That's right.
We've tried to turn some things around. We're concerned by the lack of community involvement of our current town committee representatives. I don't know how you can get involved any more than I do. I'm in just about every council meeting.
I sit on 2
Vicky's
boards.
all over.
Yeah.
They have failed to attend regular town committee meetings where decisions are made that shape the political agenda of our community, our city, and our state. No, we've sat on the committees that have formed the direction in the right direction.
Right.
We've done things to prevent corruption, which I know the slate is opposed to. They're in favor of corrupt activities, obviously, by their track record. One of the first things we did, as a district, when you're elected, you have a meeting within so many days, and then the overall town committee has to have a meeting within 7 or 10 days to elect their executive committee. When we were first elected 2 years ago, Vicki and I were, everybody that wanted to be the spokesperson, which the spokesperson are like,
filters the information
in the
down.
group,
Yeah.
I don't want to call it leaders because we've got a lot of leaders in our group.
Right.
But the spokespeople are the people that like manage what goes on. All the emails come to us and then we disseminate them out to everybody else. So Vicki and I were elected as the spokespeople for the group, which was, I took a lot of pride in that. There were a couple others that wanted it, but we got the votes and Vicki and I were elected. The first thing we did when once we're elected as spokespeople, you become part of the executive committee for the overall town committee.
Right.
Each district has, if you're a smaller district, you have 1 spokesperson. Some of the bigger districts have 2 spokespeople, just to divvy it up a little bit. One of the things we did is elected. We had our meeting, we were elected spokespeople. Then we had the overall town committee meeting, and we were given the bylaws for the town committee, which looked like they came off an old Royal typewriter. Swear to God.
It did.
And every once in a while there'd be a correction written in or something inserted. But
because they haven't been changing
they-
years.
Lines on
they hadn't been updated since
Yeah,
1970s.
Yes,
Yeah.
70s and 80s.
And it was still acceptable to notify town committee members of meetings by telegraph. Now, I've never in my whole life gotten a Western Union telegraph knocking on my door, but we realized it was a need. If an organization is going to stay structured, they have to have bylaws that apply. So the next executive committee meeting we went to, I introduced a resolution to form a bylaws committee. And there weren't a lot of people that stepped forward, but there were a handful. 2 of the people that stepped forward to be on the bylaws committee were myself and Joshua Hall, who's also the secretary for the overall town committee. So to say we haven't done anything, we've done our part. There's 3 or 4 high-level positions that are elected by the overall town committee. The chair, the vice chair, treasurer, secretary, parliamentarian, and then the sergeant at arms, who basically keeps control of meetings and things. Josh stepped up. Josh was elected as secretary for the overall town committee, and that involves a lot of work, keeping the minutes, meeting notifications, things like that. So they're talking out their hats if they say we haven't done anything.
Right, tomorrow, people, please go out and vote for row C.
Well, and another thing we did, you talk about political patronage. Other than the registrar of voters, the other big thing for political patron is justice of the peace. Some people can make money off that. And I think we're allowed like 3,000 JPs in the city. It's a huge number. They're not all filled. But if you came to us,
some of the people who are JPs are running against us, which
Yeah,
is
well,
interesting
that's-
too.
but that's
Well, that's okay.
but one of the things that was a problem with that, if somebody came to us to be a justice of the peace, and because of, let's say they've been repeatedly in trouble with elections enforcement, or did things that were detrimental to the party, we didn't have to put their name forward. But it was always the type of thing, well, if I don't get it from you, I'll go to another district where I have other friends and get them to put my name through. We passed a resolution where that's no longer acceptable. To be nominated as a justice of the peace, the nomination has to come from and be approved by the town committee slate in the district you live in. So if you live in the 7th, you can't go to the 3rd and ask for a nomination. That was one of the things we did to keep it an orderly process. There's a lot of other stuff. I'll talk a little bit about the things we did for Chris Murphy.
To say that we aren't there, I mean, I attend our state central
Vicky's the
meetings,
state central representative.
and I bring that information back to Hartford as well as Windsor. Jay Malarkey, who's the committee man for Hartford, brings it back to Bloomfield. To say that somehow we aren't there, that I'm not there, I'm there.
Well, you know what? Let's see what happens tomorrow. We hope people go out and vote, and make sure you make the right choice, because you don't want people that was in position that did nothing to be put back into that position. It makes no sense, and they won't be helping. They'll be hurting.
And that makes the work that we've done in the last 2 years and the forward progress, that negates that. If they start moving backwards again to the old ways where they stack the town committee, that just breeds corruption.
You just really have to look at the people that are making the allegations, because it's foolish to go backwards, and it's also, these are people that they don't even take their responsibilities as a citizen, a resident of the city, very seriously, to not vote in every election, okay? And then now you want the residents of our district to turn around and entrust you to make decisions that are in the best interest of those residents, when you yourself are not even walking the walk and talking the talk.
And I think one of the other big things, people that watch this show on a regular basis know you don't hear a lot of nonsense. We talk the truth. It's not always popular. A lot of our city hall politicians don't like what we have to say.
Right.
I was recently called out of a meeting by our council president, who says, why don't you write things about me? I'm doing stuff at the council level. And one of the things he wanted me to address, I said, well, I know you introduced a resolution. Did it pass? And he says, no, it didn't. I said, well, when it passes, let me know. But if it doesn't pass, it doesn't do anything. So there's a lot of people, the mayor, the council, other people, they don't like what we say, but what we say is the truth.
Right.
And I don't like sitting back and saying, I told you so, but a lot of the things we've talked about on this program have come true. So I'm asking you to trust us on this one. We've been out there hard working. We're out there. Many of you that watch, whether you live on South Marshall Street or Heartland Street, throughout the city, when you've had issues with public safety, because that's my strong area, or if you've had other concerns, you've called us, we've addressed it. We're out there working for you.
And trust me, Kevin is not a racist, okay? I can tell a racist when I see them, all right? I'm very
We're gonna let that one go.
Yeah.
I think I've said all I need to say.
That's just a
Okay? So don't let them use that as an excuse why you shouldn't vote, okay? So do the right thing tomorrow. Poll opens at 6 to 8. I'm hoping that everybody got the polling place. Tell them where again they're going to be voting, Kevin?
It depends on what area you live, but we've got the YWCA on Broad Street if you're in the Asylum Hill or Union Station area of the district. If you're up in Sand, Clay Arsenal, that area, you vote at the House of Restoration.
1665 Main Street.
Blue Hills is a little more difficult, depending what side of the street you live on.
Right.
You either go to Rawson or Annie Fisher, and then over toward Coventry Street is the
Meat marketplace.
I hate that name.
Neat.
It sounds like they're always saying the meat market.
I know, yeah, and
I
like
told
Nancy.
people, people ask me where they vote, and it sounds like I say the meat market.
Neat.
So
Neat.
NEAT.
Yeah. So,
I think the credits are rolling. I think we're out of time.
are we out? Yeah,
No,
we're
they're
not-
doing live.
we are
No,
still
they're
up
live
to
calls.
minutes.
But all I'm asking, please get out and vote. If you need a ride to the polls, either call myself or Vicky. My number is 860-883-2297.
Yeah, Representative
we'll get you
McCory's
to the
number
polls.
I think is on the
Yeah,
literature.
a lot of you
because-
have probably gotten our literature in the mail or had stuff dropped off at your house. Call those numbers. The weather's supposed to be good, so we're not going to have snow. But please, we want to keep representing you on the town committee. It may sound like something minor, but it's the foundation of how the whole political process starts in Hartford.
How your mayor, your council, your president, your
governor, everybody.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So it does.
So please,
affect-
before we run out of time here and go off the air, please give us a chance to continue what we've been doing for the last 2 years. We appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I suppose we will talk again next week.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Right.
Oh, and if we're still on, I spoke to the governor the other